Welcome to Face to Face, connecting theater makers to the public, a program from the Legacy Theater and socialdistancetheater.org.
Hello, I'm Colin Sheehan, and welcome to another episode of Face to Face. Today's guest made her Broadway debut in 2008 in Spamalot, and then went on to appear in The Addams Family, Cinderella, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Please welcome Stephanie Gibson.
Hi. Hi, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you. It's been a little bit.
I know.
You performed, I think a decade ago when myself and Michael Lee Scott and Stephen Jamel put together a little benefit for Rosie's Theater Kits.
I remember it vividly. And it's so crazy that was probably like a million years ago. But I know it vividly.
It's crazy. Where are you quarantining and how are you holding up?
I'm hanging in there, as well as we all can. I'm in Guilford, Connecticut.
Your neighbors with me.
I know. What could be better?
When did you move there?
So we my husband's family has a little vacation spot here. And once all this wildness started, we came on over and we forgot to leave. So this is sort of the place for now. And that was a couple months ago now. So we've really sort of made it our home, and we're so lucky that we're able to kind of do that. And we're here sort of for the long haul until we see what happens next. And luckily it's close enough to the city should anyone need me for anything at all. And we can, kind of be away a little bit and have some nature and some, fresh air.
Yeah, you're going to love it. I lived in the city for 14 years. I grew up in Branford and I came back here around 6 or 7 years ago, and I just love it.
It's just like a magical Hallmark movie place, right?
It really is. So where did you grow up and when did you find your passion for performing?
Oh man, I grew up in Houston, Texas. Different than Connecticut. The passion has always been there. I would say from the get-go. I was the girl that was like selling dance lessons in the front yard for $0.25. And I was that girl, and falling asleep to my sister's dance videos. I was just obsessed. And then singing came shortly after that, probably maybe in middle school. I played Annie as my first big Houston job. And all the sort of cliche things, but truly magical. I was hooked. I was so hooked. And so it was a part of my life all the way through, juggling it through high school, trying to be normal and also wildly obsessed with this whole world. And then ended up going to college for it.
You went to CCM, which is very competitive. You probably know my good friend Eric Santagata.
Oh, of course I do.
I love Eric. Eric grew up in Branford.
No way.
Yes. And Legacy Theater, we have an artist cottage, the George Victor Artist Cottage right next to it. His grandfather used to live there.
Get out.
I know. It's such a small world.
It really is. Wow. Well, and I'm so happy for him too. And he's doing the whole thing now, and magical. Really, really wonderful.
What was CCM like, your college experience?
It was wild. It was boot camp, to be perfectly honest. I think, luckily I had a little warning going in that that's what this was going to be. And I was ready for that. I wanted that. Not for everyone, definitely. I grew up going to this camp called the Broadway Theater Project when I was little, and Anne Ranking ran it. And all of these people would come and teach us, like Ben Vereen and Gwen Verdon and Hines, Gregory Hines, and just bonkers, truly as a young person, stunned by all of these amazing people. And I learned about CCM from there. And Dave Clemens is a casting director at the time and really pushed for me to really expand. I was like, I'm going to go to Texas, somewhere Southern, I'm going to UT and all the things. And he was like, I think maybe you should really think about this and look into these places. And thanks to him, I really started to expand and look at what was out there. And luckily enough, I got in there, and it was a class of 20, and we just were off to the races. It was extremely intense. just really wild. You're the only one that's like you. You know, it's like 20 people that are wildly different. And
Who was in your class?
Brandon Bieber, Billy Ty, Colt Prattis, I'm trying to think, Natalie Bradshaw. I'm trying to think who else. Pierce Wegener. You know, it's funny. Like a lot of people have stayed, and then a lot have also gone on to do amazing other really cool things. It's kind of a mix for all of us. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2007.
So then the next year is when you made your Broadway debut?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Nuts. Totally nuts. Is it the next year? Holy moly.
November of 2008.
Wowza. Wow. Yes. So right out of school was just a really lucky thing that all happened. I joined the chorus line tour right out of school. And it was the big launch of the national tour with the revival. And I played Judy Turner on that tour. And I went out there for 6 months. And right before I had left for the tour, I had auditioned for Spamalot as well. And I think they must have put me in a book somewhere and had me down as call her sometime when you need her, because that's what happened. I was out on the road and I got a call out of the blue offering me a track to understudy Lady of the Lake and join in there. And I was like stunned. Totally thrilled. And then the next day I was looking at Broadway.com or, you know, one of those sites, like just like looking around at stuff. And the front page said, Spamalot will close. Oh. And I was like, oh no, do I still get to go be in it? What do I do? Devastating. But they were so sweet. They let me, I left the tours and I went and I joined the cast and I was there for a month and a half before it closed, and it was so worth it, you know, to have that experience and to join into that crazy company and learn that fast. You know, it was like the fast track.
Yeah, I have a similar story. When I was a child performer, and when I was a kid, I auditioned for Big, the musical, and I kept getting called back. They cut to be the best friend. So in the movie, Tom Hanks' best friend, whatever his name is, and it was me and another kid, and the other kid was a dancer, and I was more of a singer, and this kid needed to sing. So like I'm like 11 or 12 years old. I'm like, I think I'm getting this. And like 2 weeks later, closed.
I mean,
so many people have stories like that. But we like to give our viewers an inside scoop, behind the curtain peek, if you will. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
What was your worst onstage mishap?
Colin, I've had a few. I've had a few. Okay. The one that comes to mind, this is the one. So in Cinderella, for the first year, I was in the ensemble and playing lots of various things. And the second year, I moved into the role of Gabrielle, the stepsister. So it was like a totally different world. Like you're like in a different show, really, you know. So I stepped in, and it was my very first night playing Gabrielle. And I was playing it opposite Carly Rae Jepsen, Fran Drescher. You know, we'd rehearsed together. We were so excited. And I had my special scene with Cinderella. And I'm following her around with this tea kettle. It's a very large, heavy thing. And I was running with it with comedic effect, like holding it under my chin and like running with it like this and chasing her. And I was like, wait for me. And I tripped. I tripped, and you know, you're wearing a giant ball gown that must weigh like 50 pounds also. My hair is in a pretzel wig, like a crazy lady. Tripped, fell on my face, and caught myself like with this kettle, like banged into my brain. The entire audience was like, oh! And I heard this like guttural inhale. And like all there was to do was in the moment just turn out and like look to the audience and go, I'm okay, I'm all right. And then get up and keep going. And they all stopped.
That's amazing. And that was your first night.
That was the first
So
night.
you definitely had friends in the audience, and they definitely played it cool. Like, oh, we didn't notice anything.
I didn't even see it. Nobody saw it. Not even a thing. Nobody saw. Meanwhile, I was like talking to the audience, being like, I'm good.
That is hysterical.
God, it's so me.
What about your favorite onstage moment?
Oh, that's hard too, because there's so many beautiful ones. They're all so different. Um, Probably the first night I went on for Morticia in the Addams Family. Um, there's this big buildup, and then all of a sudden the curtain opens and the family is all just standing there, and Morticia's standing center stage in that gorgeous black thing with all the zhuzh, standing next to Roger Rees, just like my idol. And it was just this moment of like, how could this be happening? Completely out of body, and just feeling that energy. And I think that's got to be it. There's so many, but that one just came to me so special.
I direct the Branford High School musicals, the spring musicals, and we did Addams Family last year. And I love that you're so local. We could bring you in, do some master classes.
100%. I would love that so much. Addams Family is quite the high school hit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's always in the top 10.
So interesting. I love that. I love it. I wonder what
I think I saw a preview, and there was still a lot of work being done on it, and it was a lot different, I know, in Chicago. And then this is more of the tour version.
Okay.
They made a lot of edits for the high school version, but
you don't have a giant squid in your production?
We didn't. We chose not to, but it was in the script.
Sure.
What was your favorite backstage moment? So there's lots of, traffic pattern issues and stairs to dressing rooms and quick changes during a show. I'll ask you about backstage, like stage door, dressing room stuff in a little bit, but okay. Backstage during a show, either watching another performer or you experiencing something.
God, there's so many with that too. My heavens. Wow. What I think is so fascinating for people to know is that the choreography back there is even more extreme and advanced than what you're seeing on stage, don't you dare step into a different position than you have from day one. It's such a set routine, and there's something so comforting about that, because you run into the same exact faces every single day. You have the same little ding dong things that you do with certain friends and people that makes your show for you. What came to mind was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I would run on stage and say something silly and then run away, and I would have 2 minutes, and then I would run back on. It was a very busy track, but I also was kind of running and then standing, and I would see Kathy Fitzgerald, who is just a comedy legend. I would see her every day at a certain point, and we would sit and talk about our lives during this one part for 30 seconds every day, and we would end up making up a song every day. We would improv a song together, and it just became a set thing we had to do. It would be a bad day if we didn't do it, and it was just the silliest, dumbest thing, but that's just what came to my mind, because it brought me so much joy every single day. You would always find me in that tiny little closet with Kathy singing a song, and then we would go about our business, and I wouldn't see her the rest of the show. So.
Love it.
Yeah.
Everyone has a dream role that they would hope to play one day. Do you have a dream role that you would love to play?
Yeah, I have 100. How do you, it's so hard. I have so many for so many reasons. So there's the route of the Lolas and the Sweet Charities that I just dream of for very specific reasons. And then there's the Mother in Ragtime. There's, there's Jenna and Waitress. There's Chess. There's moments that are Wild Party. There's things that I think would be really a really heavy thing that would be really amazing to experience. And then there's also Adelaide. Where's she? Let's bring her around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So all for different reasons. You almost want to say it hasn't been written yet. I want it to be a culmination of all of the things,
What about of the opposite sex? Is there a male role that you're oh, I would love it?
That's really fun. Well, the MC in Cabaret, how cool would that be?
That would be amazing. They could totally do a gender bending.
I'm surprised they haven't.
I know.
I'm really surprised by that. I did Sally Bowles, which was obviously such a dream one. That one's so dreamy. But yeah, to switch it up, why not? Yeah. Let's get on that, you and me.
Yeah. Well, we'll produce it. We'll
do it. Yeah.
What about lots of celebrities come to the shows and then they go backstage and say, congratulations, we loved it. Let's do the photo op. Do you have interesting story about a celebrity that you've met or worked with in a show?
Well, I mean, you know who stopped me in my tracks was Martin Short came to see Charlie, and I was like, like I couldn't even really breathe.
When I was at Charlie, Whoopi was there.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, that was a real like celeb filled thing over there. There was so many people coming and going all the time. That was so wild. So that was stunning. And of course he was very complimentary and sweet. And like, I was playing a very heightened comedy role. And so it just felt, you know, you're like, thank you so much. Like, you don't even know if he knows anything about you, but you just take it and put it in your pocket and like never forget. And then I guess, you know, Fran Drescher and I became super close through Cinderella. I'm like so grateful that experience brought us together. Who knew? Like, what a wild thing that brought us together. And I've sort of looked up to her as a mentor ever since that. And she's sort of helped me with lots of career things and comedy things and writing. And it's really amazing how you just never know like who you're going to get linked with and what that looks like. And
yeah, I've met Fran a few times. She's always been so nice and genuine, and I love her Cancer Schmancer organization and the cruises, the cabaret cruises. I mean, she's doing great work.
She really is. I know. So feel grateful to have her as somebody I can look up to.
Yeah. So now to end these rapid fire questions, typical people you could have dinner dead or alive, who would and why? They don't need to be famous, they could be.
Oh, it just cut out right when you said that. Who would I have dinner with? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question so we could do this in editing. Sorry, Wi-Fi.
I'm ready.
So now the typical question that we like to end with is, if you could have dinner with 3 different people, dead or alive, who would it be and why? And they don't have to be famous. They could be.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. I'm like, is that all? Is that the question? Okay.
That's the question.
Okay. Well, Lucille Ball.
Yes.
I mean, my answer would be like 3 Lucille Balls. Like, that would really be the answer. She's just my like everything. But Carol Burnett, I thought of next, and then Meryl Streep, because just a table of ladies, powerful, fabulous people.
I love how almost every question you were like, this is so hard to answer. And as I ask them in every interview, I'm like, I couldn't answer these. So why am I asking these people?
It is so hard, right? I mean, and to like rack your brain and try to find things in the back. Sometimes, especially when people ask me like, who was in that thing with you? And I'm like, boop. I mean, it's so hard to think on the spot.
Well, a lot of our performers, not a lot, some of them, I would say half, like the questions up front. But I love you. You were like, no, we don't need the questions. Let's just rock and roll.
I like it. It's more fun that way, right?
Yeah, for sure.
More authentic.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. And we hope to see you at the Legacy Theater. I hope you enjoy Guilford, and we'll see you on the next episode of Face to Face. Bye.